was?
I've been better. I ain't gonna lie, but I'm hanging in there, just trying to keep focused and just trying to take things day by day. It's rough.
I could tell by your lack of response. It's like, I already know you bad at responding, but this is at another level now. So I'm just like, this man got so much on display. He don't even know.
I'm telling you, I don't even hardly know who I am half the time. But it's
so disoriented. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
from that sleep deprived.
Yeah, dude. It's the weirdest feeling. I could not even describe what this feels like. It's just like, of course, we're happy, that we have our kid and stuff. No regrets or anything, but, they tried to warn us how tough this was going to be, and I did not. They understated. So we're kind of working through that, but...
That baby's become a big baby, huh? Crazy.
I'm telling you, dude. He came out 4 pounds, 12 ounces, and within a month, he doubled that pretty much. He's already outgrown some of his clothes because he was in preemie clothes. He was also so small. He wasn't a preemie baby. He was full term, but that's all he could fit. So, but yeah. It's a process. I'll just say it's kind of a lot to deal with, more than what I anticipated even beforehand.
So that's why a lot of people celebrate the first year, because it's not really for the baby they're celebrating, just celebrate like, we got it through it. Baby's still alive.
Yeah. Like, no joke, dude, for real. Okay, well, I'm ready to get into it if you are.
All right, listeners, welcome to Nani, another anime podcast, aka NAAP.
NAAP, not app. Yeah, right.
Yep, we're just two guys who are talking everything anime, manga, like the good, the gross, and the goofy.
Right.
But we get deep too.
Yeah, we definitely can't help but getting deep.
Right. I'm James.
And I'm Lewis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, so let's just get starting off with it. So you know how we do hot takes or bad takes?
Yeah, I was trying to find me some hot takes, man. I don't know.
I have a prompt question.
Okay.
What's an anime you were disappointed to find there wasn't a second season?
That's kind of tough, because I'm one where I'm like, if the one season wraps up pretty nicely, then that's solid. Mm-hmm. Now I'm trying to think of even just one season shows that I've seen.
I can go first for you while you're thinking on it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I have 2 of them. So Seraph of the End.
Ooh, I remember that one. Yeah, that was about vampires, right? Kind of.
It was. Go ahead.
I was just trying to remember. Is that there? I just remember there were some sort of vampire, I think, or they were second blood or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, so the vampires took over the world, and they put a curse over the world or something like that, where they made the children believe all the adults that are at everybody that's over the age of 12 dies.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's only kids left. But really, in reality, was the vampires took over the world, was killing all the adults and kidnapped the children and were raising them as cattle, like to feed off their blood and stuff.
Yeah.
And the main characters, they were orphans, and they had a group together, and only one of them, when they attempted to leave and escape, one of them survived while the rest of the family got massacred right in front of them, and they were able to escape. But it turns out his partner, who they were both the oldest, the other one survived too and became a vampire.
Okay.
Yep. And they were still adults and stuff. They had weapons that were able to fight against the vampires and kill them.
Yeah, see, that one, I just vaguely remember it, because it was so long ago that I saw it, but I think I remember it being pretty decent. I don't think I was disappointed with how it came out, but I can see how you would, want that to have I didn't know it didn't have a second season.
I was looking all over for it. I was like, where's season 2? Because this is not it. The story, it ended like a cliffhanger, there's more to the story, so what's going on?
Yeah, they probably ran out of, the budget. They probably just got canceled Yeah, unfortunately. Dang.
And I actually did not look it up though because it was long ago. It might have a season 2 on it now. I didn't look it up.
What that is true, because sometimes years later, maybe they get some funding and.
Yeah, but I do know about 2 or 3 years ago, I did look for it to see if there was a season 2, and I did not find it.
Dang. Okay, I thought of one, and it's actually one of my most favorite, probably one of my top favorite. Well, I don't know if I can say that because I have so many top favorite animes. I literally, every time I say it, he's like, yeah, right, you said that the last 30 times.
Yeah. Maul asked me what your favorite anime was because he's going to implement it into the thing, and I was like, well, I don't know. The last time he told me it was Science Gate, but that's the stop.
Yeah. Have you seen Claymore or heard of Claymore?
It sounds so familiar. I don't know if I actually watched it, but I might have heard about it.
Okay, it's I think it came out in the 2000s. I don't know if it was early 2000s. It's I won't say it's old, but it's a little older. You know, when you see it, it's a little dusty.
Yeah.
But that kind of adds to its style, you know. But so basically, Claymore is how do I best kind of summarize it? It's like, so in their world, it's kind of set back in like what's that time? Like really old, like
Western
Gothic.
or so like in Europe, in Gothic times.
Yeah. Real Gothic times, like a lot of kind of that Dutch architecture and like really old dusty streets and stuff. You know, no technology or anything. Real kind of Demon Slayer-ish, but it's still set kind of in more of a European setting. They have these demons. Of course, they always have demons. And their version of demons are like, I don't know how to. They're not like Demon Slayer demons. But they're still sentient. They still talk and they're still smart and they can like transform into a human form. So they're really hard to detect by humans and they just kind of feed off of humans. They just live in these towns and nobody knows what they are and people just keep disappearing. And so people kind of generally know that they're out there and they exist. They just don't know how to fight back, you know. And so there's a society, just like in Demon Slayer, kind of. There's like a company, pretty much, that sends out warriors, and they're all women. They're like it's an all woman kind of company.
Okay.
And these warriors, I guess, do you care about spoilers? I guess.
I don't.
Okay, so they are. It's actually a program where they take. Well, we kind of don't know where they get these girls from. They might be orphans. I don't know if they kidnap them or what, but they get them some sort of way at a very young age, and like give them some of the demon blood. And they, through some sort of training, they like basically are half human, half these monsters. So that they're the ones who fight these demons because they're the only ones who are strong enough to do it, you know. And the demons, like they have like the real basic demons, all can kind of transform or like, you know, they have like real basic abilities. They're like super strong. So basically, the plot of this is that the main character, she's one of these half demon warriors. Her name is Claire, and she comes across this village and she takes on this little boy who kind of goes around with her from town to town because his family got killed by one of them, of course, and now he has vowed, of course, you know. And the whole story is pretty much her finding herself in her abilities, and she's on a quest for revenge for one of these demons. And so there's kind of tiers to them, where like the highest form of this demon, of these types of demons, are called, they have a specific name because they're like so insanely powerful that they've just like transformed into pretty much godly beasts, and like nobody can touch them.
Yeah.
And there's like three of these leaders, like they're like the top of the top, and they just kind of take their own region of the world, like literally whole regions of the world, and just like, all right, this is my area of the globe. Y'all come over here. Y'all gonna, you know, F around and find out.
They're like the four emperors.
Yeah, pretty much. But one of them, Claire has a grudge against because this demon ended up killing her master, and you know, that was her master's pretty much saved her life. So, you know, but this top demon, so I guess all of the top demons actually used to be these these warriors.
Oh,
but they
so
could
that's
not.
A spoiler?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I lied, Lewis. I do care. Why you spoil that?
I'll say it's actually not a major spoiler. I'll say that. But so like they become this powerful because the demon blood is actually too much for the human body, and all of them at some point start to lose their minds and start to become overtaken by this power, and they just kind of become so insanely powerful, but also kind of it changes them, you know. And so they program actually when a warrior starts to lose their mind, they summon another warrior to go and kill them, you know, honorably, and say, hey, it's your time, you know, you chose, and they'll choose somebody that they really trust to do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's like a really kind of emotional thing. But some of them are like, nah, I'ma just go evil.
Yep.
But I just really like the story because it has some damn epic moments in it, dude. And it's just like kind of so underrated in my eyes. And I don't think very many people know about it. It's not perfect.
I've never seen it. Yeah.
I think you would like it, and it does kind of start off not too slow, but it definitely has a period where it's like, okay, this is all right. And then once you get into it, it's like, oh, you know, there's like some twists and turns. It actually has one of the characters, one of my favorite, probably anime characters of all time. Like she is this woman called what's her name, Teresa of the Faint Smile, and she just, I gotta show you some clips because they sent, so there's rules to this organization. You can't harm a human. You can't kill a human. You can harm them, but you can't kill them, like under no circumstances whatsoever. Yeah. Like if you come across a band of thieves, you are not allowed to kill them. Otherwise you have to get beheaded. Like it's a death sentence for them. And so, but they can kill demons all day. So this Teresa, the Faint Smile, you know, a human was trying to kill, you know, Claire, our main character, when she was a baby, when she was a girl. And Teresa was like, nah, I ain't having it. So she just murders everybody. And she's like, I understand the consequences. I'm still murdering everybody in this bandit group. And so the organization send warrior after warrior after warrior, and she just keeps sending them back dead.
Wow.
Or even like just straight clowning them. And like they send like the top people in the company, but the problem is that she's the top warrior by far. So it's like trying to send Krillin and Yamcha to go kill Goku. It's just like, you know, just not working, you know.
Yep.
Until one of them, so she oversteps her limits, one of the warriors that they send after her. And they send this particular warrior after her because her innate potential is so strong that they're like, I think if she's pushed to the right limits, she could beat Teresa. So they send her after, but she turns into one of these demons full-fledged. And then she just becomes like instantly just OP. And she kills her and she's like, all right, I'm gonna just go see the world now. But then, okay, fast forward to the end of the show and there's the climax and, you know, Claire's fighting her and getting her revenge, but she doesn't kill her. But then they just kind of go their separate ways and then that's it. And I'm like, I know there's supposed to be a second season to this because there's supposed to be a part 2 to this fight. But there's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing. And I'm just like... Me and Dee Dee were just like so distraught because we're like, okay, we need to find out the rest of this story.
Yeah.
So
you didn't go to the manga?
Not yet. I think I will eventually because I have no choice. But
yeah, I didn't go to the manga for Seraph of the End. I looked it up. I didn't want to. It wasn't worth it searching through the chapters of where the story was off at.
Yeah.
So I don't think I had a strong impression of the artwork.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
The anime was that. So Seraph of the End anime came out when they were starting to clean up the animations in anime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it came out around those years, like 2015s and stuff.
Got you.
I had a second one too, and it's Yona of the Dawn.
See, I believe I started that one. I think it was just the first, because it's about a princess or something like that, right? Yeah. I need to go back to that one.
Yeah, it's really good. It starts off. That's another one that starts off kind of slow. Actually, there's a huge moment that happens that's kind of action-packed, but then it gets slow.
Dang.
Very quickly.
Dang.
But I did go to the manga after years because I realized that this was based off of manga because I watched it when it was in English. I didn't realize it was like, I honestly thought that it was one of those where English speakers because the dub was so good.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is not a English made thing. Let me go to the source, and still going on.
Oh wow, even today?
Yeah,
Dang.
I haven't caught up yet, but it's still going. But not as many chapters as One Piece from that. It's like in the 200s, I believe.
Got you. Okay. Well, it must be pretty decent if it's still going, because I think when I first watched it, that was some years ago. That was, yeah.
So I'm still reading it though. I took a little bit of break because I was reading some other stuff, and it's now overtook it because those were really good.
Yeah, you always gotta have like two or three going. So like when one is slow, you can kind of go through the other ones. Yeah.
Mhm. All right, so now we talking about like starting off slow.
Right, because
anime of the week is Frieren.
This
Beyond
mug,
Journey's End.
this mug is a sleeper, okay? Because me and Dee Dee, she didn't watch it with me, but we took one look at it, and especially the title card on Crunchyroll, it looked boring AF, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It looked boring. And even coming from me, I love fantasy. Like, I love Lord of the Rings and, all that kind of, dragon-y stuff. It's like, oh, yeah, this is cool, But for some reason in anime, it always falls flat to me. And so that's why I told you I kind of had low expectations going in. Because I'm like, okay, this is probably going to be, I heard it was a slice of life. Like, I remember you telling me a little bit about it. And I was like, slice of life is not for me. And especially if it's fantasy, this is going to be boring. Yeah.
Overturn those expectations, huh?
Yeah, I like it literally, I try to give shows at least 2 episodes. If you ain't got me about like the 3rd episode, then I'm sorry, you lost me. And it's probably going to be me watching this intermittently over the years. But for some reason, it just kept hooking me in. I don't know. I noticed it's very cinematic, like not even just the artwork and the line work and the colors, but sometimes the camera angles, sometimes how like there was one shot of the dude with the axe flying around on this dragon because he's fighting it, and I'm like, yo, that's insane animation right there. Like his hair is like flying back and forth. Like the way they did it was just it was POV, and it was very very well done and very cinematic, and the music as well. Like for me,
so good.
Yes, very very cinematic, and very fitting with the show. A lot of times you have these beautiful shows, but when it comes to the music, they're like, all right, this is where we're kind of cheap on the budget.
I put that ending credit song on my playlist.
Yeah, it was
so much.
Right. And also the ending, I think it was the last half of the show, the ending like animation was different. It was a different kind of art style. I was like, this is kind of cool. This is legit. The only thing
I didn't even notice that.
No. The only problem I had with the beginning, the opening song for me just doesn't kind of fit the theme of the show. And I was like, oh, this is typical anime music.
I get that every time.
So did I.
I gave it every first episode I would watch the opening theme. And after that, I'm skipping.
Yeah.
There are very, very few animes where I'll actually, almost every episode, I'll listen to the opening.
Like for real. Like for me, it's almost zero. Like the only one I can think of, like I even skip Samurai Champloo's opening, okay? Because after a while it just kind of gets, but Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, I'm like, I have a hard time skipping that opening every time. I just do. It's so dope.
I skipped it, so I don't even know what it is. Because after the first season.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So have you, well, I don't want to get sidetracked on JJK. That might have to be a different conversation.
Yeah. So for those who have not seen Frieren, it's very good. So what it's about is it follows an elf that has a very long life. Like the elves in this fantasy, they basically live forever.
It kind of sounds like it, yeah.
She's a mage, and she had the story starts where at the end of her journey with a hero party that saved the world from the
Demon King.
And so then it basically follows her journey after that journey's over, about her, how the impact of that journey, because it was a 10-year journey. She was with those, the hero party, and they're all human. Well, one's a dwarf, has a very long life as well, but the humans, for an elf, 10 years is like a blip in her life. So it's like not that big of a deal. And so she didn't really spend that much time to try to get to know them and stuff. And it wasn't until the funeral of one of the hero parties where she realized, it's like, oh shoot, I knew that life was short for humans, but why didn't I get to know him better? And so she started to cry, and then that's like her catalyst of cherishing the relationships that she had, and also the ones that she's getting. She's discovering as she's going through her life again.
Yeah.
Beyond that journey.
And also through the lens of her, like you said, James, through the lens of her being over 1,000 years old. And, you know, I was just thinking of this the other day. It's like, what would it be like? What would my relationships be like if I were to live that long? And to be honest, I probably wouldn't hold relationships probably at all, you know.
Right. Because that pain of loss is gets to a point where you just can't take it.
That, and also, you know, probably at a certain point, I'm just like, because, you know, say one of my friends lives 70, 80 years, you know, and to me, that's just like, you know, a year or two, or however long it is to her. Yeah. It just doesn't seem that long. So you're just like, okay, I know. And that's probably why she never really took the time to get to know the people she was with, because she's like, this is like nothing to me. You're just here today and gone tomorrow. So why, you know, spend the effort and the time to get to know you when you're just going to be gone so soon, you know?
Yeah.
And even to the point that she makes a note. She's like, you know, I don't even know how many other elves there are in the world, because we don't see each other for like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And even when they do cross paths, like, it cracked me up. She crossed paths with another elf, and it was like, oh, hey, you're an elf. That. Oh, yeah, I haven't seen another elf in 300 years. All right, have a good day. And they just walked off. And it was just like, what? That is so bizarre. But so, yeah, I just thought it was really interesting that they kind of played with Frieren's age and how she sees her relationships. And I don't know. I just thought they did it really well. Told that story really well.
It was such a good story, and also for those who don't like slice of life, it has enough action.
Trust me.
And those action sequences are dope.
Yes, they are. Ooh, there's the dungeon scene about her. Man, look, dude, that was fire. That was crazy. That was almost on the level of a particular Jujutsu Kaisen fight that I'm thinking of in season 2. But anyway, like James said, it takes you there. And even episode by episode, the ones without the action, there's enough drama and interest, and there's enough, you know, like emotional. Like, I'm not gonna lie, they kind of got me with some of the emotional stuff. I was like, ooh, that was deep. That was, you know, that was very nice. So,
shoot, I'm trying to think of one of the emotional moments for me.
I know for me, while you're thinking, so which one patted her? Oh, what's his name? Hyder?
Yeah, the priest.
Yeah. So in their party, just it's her, the mage. There's a priest who he also kind of has magical abilities and can heal people and do stuff, you know. And then the dwarf, he's just really strong and really durable. Like, he's insane.
His name's Aizen.
Yeah, Aizen. Mm-hmm. Not like from Bleach.
Warrior Aizen.
Right. Mm-hmm. And he's dope too. You don't get too much of him, but you can tell from the brief clips, like, oh, don't mess with this dude. Do not mess with this dude. Strong. Yeah. And then the last person in their party is Himmel. I think his name is Himmel. He's
Himmel the hero.
Yeah. And he's pretty much just a warrior, but they don't really show him fighting at all in the season. Right. But you can just tell by other warriors. So warrior is a title. Like, it's actually a title for somebody.
Yep. And
the other warriors that you see are insanely powerful. I'm like, okay, if this dude helped kill the Demon King, I know he's that dude. So, so I was saying that Hyder, the priest, he would pat Frieren on the head. He's like, to praise her and stuff. And she's like, my head is not for patting. And so like, but then I'm not gonna lie, I got choked up. She was like, trying to think of how to praise one of her new teammates. And she thought back to that, and she started patting the dude on the head, and I was like, no.
No. That was the other priest that traveled with them briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not expecting him not to be a part of this long journey. It was like 2-3 episodes maybe.
Yeah.
They was like, all right, goodbye.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find my friend. I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Like, but that makes sense, but also it doesn't make sense because that's not how stories go.
No. I was like, so why was he here in the first place?
Yeah, but it is also it's one of those things where it's realistic,
right? Mm-hmm.
Because that's the whole thing they were talking about is how brief everything is,
mm-hmm.
but it's still impactful. So it doesn't matter how long or how short it is,
Right, which is fitting because he literally saved their life, like I think a few times.
Yeah.
And so just like you said, him being part of their party for that brief moment actually really helped them to keep going. Because I honestly, without him, I think they probably would have still made it. But
yeah, because Stark, he had swallowed or inhaled something that
yeah.
They were just in the forest, and they had to turn back around, so they was about to leave.
After that dude literally just told him to watch out for poisonous stuff.
Yeah, he's like, but I feel fine. I'm okay.
Yeah.
And then when he got to the priest, like, it's amazing you're not dead.
Yeah, right. Oh man. But that also, while we're talking about this priest dude, and I know we're kind of talking about things out of order because this priest doesn't come into the picture until kind of a minute later in the show.
Yeah.
But still, as she's traveling with her new kind of group of, the hero and the priest, and they come across this village that's like falling asleep because of this monster that's like, it's putting out like some curse or something and feeding off of their energy. And they're like, also something that I like about the show and its magic is like the magic has rules to it. Like just because Frieren is this ultimate mage doesn't mean that she's not about to fall prey to, the stuff that's happening, to her in the group. Right. So even she starts to succumb to falling asleep at some point. And dude, it was a pretty dope moment because the priest, because he's a priest, he has immunity to this curse. So yeah. And he's like, dude, I only got like 5 seconds, enough energy to revive one of you for 5 seconds to help me fight this monster. And he thinks back to the priest that was traveling with Frieren, and he had a conversation. He was like, just look, Frieren has issues understanding human emotions. You can't just like fight with her and trust, that you can fight with a look and know what to do. So you have to trust her words. And if she says she's going to do this, you have to trust that she's going to do it. And Frieren's like, look, I know I'm falling asleep, but trust me, if you revive me, look, I promise you, I'm going to destroy this monster. And he was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. And dude, it was so dope. He was like, he woke her up and instantly she killed it. And I was like, man, that's sick. That was so sick to me.
One of the main points that made that so epic was the demon that they were fighting. You only can kill it in its weak point.
Yes, right.
And so she fell asleep before she even seen the demon. So he was like, how are you going to find the weak point in 5 seconds?
And he had left her, like he had to put her down because she fell asleep.
Yeah.
So she was a far ways away even. And within 5 seconds, she got there and like killed this thing.
It was like instant wake up.
Yeah.
She was like, and in that second, she was like, "Oh, it's this type of demon," and blah blah blah. There was points right there, blue. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, that's dope. That was a dope moment. One of my favorite moments that I enjoyed. It definitely was in the dungeon. It was when Frieren and Fern was going at it with her duplicate.
Yes.
That was so clean. Like, I was wondering like how powerful the duplicate's gonna get because she was pressing her mana the whole time. And I was like, yo, they could. I was like, her whole time she was like, just the common face, and they was both doing the same movements and everything. I'm just like, yeah, this is crazy. This is cool.
Yeah.
Her with her very powerful like things.
Man, okay.
How strong she is.
Yeah.
She doesn't even realize how strong she is.
Right.
And that's only because her gauge is Frieren.
Yeah.
And Frieren is so overpowered, like so super powerful. So she was like, I can't fight any other of these.
Right.
But also, everybody she's fighting, they like, wow, why? Like she's only using basic magic, and it's so fast.
I just love the setup, first of all, because when Frieren when Fern is kind of traveling with Frieren in like the early years of them traveling, and they come across, they go to the town where one of the Demon King's generals or whatever has been frozen in time, and she's like, the seal is about to be come undone, and he massacred all these people. He was so powerful in his time, and I gotta go and just end him. And so, you're expecting this dude to just like be something like, okay, this is about to be a boss battle. They freeze this dude and just like, hey, yeah, so your magic is hella outdated. And Frieren basically just like kills him with his own spell.
Yep.
And you realize later on in the show, or they say that spell that Frieren then teaches Fern is like one of the most basic uses in their magic world. But like you said, Fern just takes it to like the next level and just defeats anybody with like just the most basic stuff. And I love that so much, dude. I just love that.
Yeah, and I love Stark's and Farron's little love-hate relationship. Starting just because like all of them, all the characters, Frieren's second party, which is just Stark and Fern, they're like, they don't really rub that well together, but they just like make it work.
Right. Yeah.
As they get to know each other and stuff.
Yeah.
It's all hilarious because Fern is just one of those characters like you can get on her wrong side very quickly, easily.
Even I was starting to get annoyed because I'm not gonna lie, I've known people like that in my life, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, you need to chill. Just calm it down just a little bit.
It is so hilarious.
It is.
Her being like that is showing how much Frieren has grown from her time with those hero party.
Yeah.
Because in the past, she just would have ignored it all.
Right.
And wouldn't try to coax or anything. But after, like, how Himmel was so kind and always trying to help people, she started to, like, okay, I should be like that too. To honor him, honor his memory.
The way, and I think that's what really solidified the show for me, even over all the cool action scenes and stuff, is the way that she's going through and honoring her friends, that she did battle with for over those 10 years. And even her master, Frieren's master way long ago, the way that she honors her. One of her favorite spells, to be honest, I think Frieren says that she, or maybe it's implied that she collects all these spells and magic to kind of honor her master. And Frieren is like, people are like, why are you going through and that's just what you do with your time, your free time? You just collect spells, like even like dumb ones, like why? This is stupid. And she's like, I don't know, it's just a hobby. And they're like, you even like magic? She's like, it's all right. But she still just devotes all of her time to collecting spells, going from town to town and collecting grimoires, these magic books. But it's really touching to me that, something that somebody else will look at and like, why are you going so hard over cleaning the statue? Like, it's just a statue. And then they'll have a flashback to Himmel posing for this stupid thing like 20 times, and it's a sweet memory for her. And the person in the town giving the tour, they're like, this is Himmel the hero, and she's like thinking to herself, I was there when he made this statue, and that's why we're cleaning it. And then she'll do the whole field of flowers, which was her master's favorite spell. And it's just like, man, I love how she is this god tier mage, but like what really matters to her is not that all that power, is like all these sweet memories that she has of her loved ones. And I'm just like, that's dope, man. That's dope.
It is, and it's crazy because her master was the founder of magic for the humans.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's wild. But overarching, that brings us to the overarching theme of this show. That I believe what it was is just like the importance of falling in love with the mundane and seemingly insignificant moments, and cherish the people and relationships you share those with.
Yes.
No matter how long or how brisk they last.
Yes. That's spot on, dude. That's so spot on. And also, I would even add, like taking the time to get to know the people that you love, like learning from Frieren's mistake that she even admits herself at the beginning is like, I should have taken more time to get to know you guys. And then she very purposefully is still in her own way getting to know them after they've all passed, except for the dwarf. The dwarf is still alive, but she is also then trying to get to know the people that she's currently with, and she's doing things that she would never normally do, and she's like, you know what, this is what Himmel would have done, or this is what so-and-so would have done. And she remembers back to how it used to be with them, and she's learning, she's like, just pretty much what you said. And so it's just like, I like that they took that angle in the writing.
Yeah. And one of the things that she did not do was when she was speaking with that one dwarf who was over watching the village, protecting the village for years, like centuries and stuff.
That old man,
old Von or Vol, old man Vol, and he was there so long that the village people didn't even know why he was protecting it, and he just been always there. And so she was a old friend of his, and so she actually sat down with him instead of just how she usually do every 300 or so years. She was just like, hey, and chat whatever, and not really be personal. But she actually took the time to actually learn the history of why he was doing what he was doing and stuff, and getting to know him. And she always figured that he was just acting senile and all that. But that was one of the emotional moments when he was like, after he had told her that he remembered his wife's fate and he dreamed about her, and then he was like, you know what, Frieren, I really think you're the one who's going to be able to beat the Demon King. And she was like, hold on, the Demon King's been dead for... she just had that look, oh my gosh, he's about to be gone too.
And then also realizing that his purpose for defending the village, which he said was the village that his wife loved, that's where she came from, and so that's why he didn't remember her face, her voice, nothing, but he's gonna keep his word, and what was I gonna say? Man, I had a point that I was going to say and I lost it. But anyway, just that, if she had told him that, hey, the Demon King is dead, we defeated that dude a long time ago, then his purpose is now kind of gone, and she kind of saw that too, and she's like, you know what, he ain't hurt nobody, just let him die defending his wife's, village and stuff, even though there's no threat. So you can kind of tell she's being more and more emotionally, I don't want to say emotionally mature, but emotionally sensitive, Yeah,
more empathetic.
Yeah.
But she was apathetic all the time.
Because I think it's even the first episode, because Himmel the hero is still alive. He's close to dying, but she sees him, she's like, dang, you ain't dead yet? He's just like, you're just as cold as ever. I'm like, dang, Frieren.
I remember when they had the very first episode, they was like, all right, in 50 years we're gonna come back and see this event. And then in 50 years, we just follow her journey and stuff, collecting those random seemingly useless spells. And then she's like, all right, it's time to go back to them, and they all old and stuff, something that barely keep up with the journey.
Right. I'm just like, she said it was like, what, a week's journey to where they were going to go see this meteor shower?
I don't even remember. I just know they was all...
I'm like, somebody going to carry him on. This dude is like 90 years old. But yeah. So I guess, kind of when I first started the show, I didn't really know what it was like. What is Frieren doing? Like, what is the show about? And kind of maybe, I don't know if it's a few episodes, a couple of episodes. They're heading to this place that they call Heaven to talk with one of her party. Like his spirit.
She wanted to talk to him because she felt like she didn't get to know him.
That's right. Yeah. So there's a spot in their world that souls spirits kind of gather, and that they say that that's what humans call heaven. And so, but you have to kind of get there a very specific way, and it's a long journey. And so that's kind of what Frieren is doing for this. That's their journey that they're kind of doing. But
yep, and it's the exact same journey that she did with the hero party, because Heaven is in the location where the Demon King had reigned.
Right.
Yeah, it's a 10-year long journey. So
yeah,
doing it all over again, but this time with Stark and Frieren.
Yeah. And so basically it's plot wise, the story is Frieren making that journey and kind of the challenges and stuff they face along the way and how they get through things. And I didn't realize. I think it's going to have a second season because they didn't get to Heaven at the end of the first one. So I'm like, well,
right. So there's definitely, I know there's continuation in the manga, so there's probably is going to be a season 2.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah,
it was very popular. This one.
Yeah, and I also appreciated that Frieren. I usually don't like main characters, but I actually like Frieren a lot. And especially the English voice actor. I didn't watch it in Japanese, although I
had to watch it in Japanese. I couldn't stand the English version.
No, you couldn't.
I could not.
Okay, so now we got two different opinions now. Okay, yep. Okay. I will say I did not like Stark's voice actor. I was like, all right, y'all could have found somebody better for this.
I didn't even get to when Stark was introduced. Immediately, I was like, no.
Well, I liked it.
But I understand what they were going for, because that's how the character is. But English mundane and monotone is way different than Japanese mundane and monotone.
Yes, it is. It is.
So I couldn't stand it. I was like, nope. And I was sick when I was watching it, so it was very hard for me to like maintain focus and all that. So when it was in the English, immediately I passed out. Yeah,
and I think I know what you're talking about, because there's definitely an anime trope kind of character that always has that deadpan voice. They're always just so monotone and dead-eyed and stuff. And I did. Frieren is like that.
Yep.
But what saved her for me is she has little moments of goofiness. Like she keeps getting stuck in these chests because she thinks that there's grimoires in them. And people keep telling, she's been doing it for literally hundreds of years, and people keep telling her that's a trap.
Yeah,
she keeps.
But it's 99%. It's not a trap.
Yeah. And so it's like this.
What are you gonna do about that 1%?
Yeah, right. And she's just waiting for that one time. And
so stupid.
And also the way she sleeps is like, how did you? I think in one scene, there was 2 different beds, but somehow she ended up in Fern's bed and was like smacking her in the face, and I was like, what is happening? So she sleeps crazy.
Also, she got that jealous side too.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, did you see that part when she was laying on Fern's lap? She looked up. She's like, I can only see half of the sky.
Yeah.
She just got up and pouted.
I was like, OMG.
You know, I raised this little girl up.
And there was also one scene where she was trying to seduce the priest to get him to join. Of course, she didn't have no feelings for him. She just was really trying to get him to come because she was like, she needs his abilities.
And he had his disposition. What he loved was older women.
Yeah.
He was like,
she was like, I'm as old as they come. He was like, dude, I don't know what he's. Yeah. What did he call her? He was like, you just an old child or something like that. I forgot what he said.
What he said, but
I was cracking up.
He didn't care about age. He was talking about older-looking women.
Right.
Frieren looks like.
Right. She looked like a child.
Yeah. It's hilarious, though. But let's get it. So I have my own segment here on the show. It's called Kingdom Link, or the Kingdom Relation, because me and Lewis are believers, and we like, how does this relate to the kingdom or like God's principles and stuff? Mm-hmm. Like some part of the show, anyways. It's not always the overarching theme or anything. So this time, I found it when they were talking about magic. It was mentioned about 2 or 3 times. Maybe it was more, but I didn't really pay attention. I only caught it twice, and that is the imagination and belief is what makes magic work.
James, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that for real touched me on a deep level when she said that. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so in the kingdom, faith and belief makes miracles happen. Like you have to have that faith and that strong belief, and that's when miracles happen. So Siri, she's one of the oldest living beings in this world, even older than Frieren. Right. She's an elf as well, and the most powerful mage.
And they call her the living grimoire, because she basically knows pretty much every magic spell that ever existed.
Exactly. So they were taking this test to become a first class mage, and the third test she was just doing interviews, and it was like the first person she's talked to, she failed them, and that person asked why, and this is what she said. She said, "In the world of magic, that which can't be visualized cannot be." Mm-hmm. You know, so she basically failed the person because that person couldn't even imagine themselves being a first class mage.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
So she was like, "Well, if you can't even imagine it, you're not going to be it. So no."
Yeah. Right.
Lead you to that path. Like you got to believe it first before you get there.
And I'm sure you were gonna bring up this other spot. The one that I'm thinking of is when they were in the dungeons and they were like fighting the doubles, you know. So in this dungeon part, so the dungeon kind of reaches into your, I don't know, being and creates doubles, like literal physical copies of you to send out and fight you and whoever's in the dungeon. And they have, of course, all the exact abilities and weaknesses and stuff. But so one of the proctors of the test decided to go down with them just to observe. And of course, she's strong AF. And the dungeon's like,
mage, yep.
Right. And the dungeon's like, all right, we're going to make a copy of her too. And so they're like, that's not fair. But one of the mages was like, they had run into this copy, and she's like, I can't even imagine myself defeating this. Like, this is impossible.
Yep.
Therefore, my magic is not going to work. And the way that they explained it, I was like, that actually makes sense. You know, it's like the power of imagination, but it's real. You know, that's what magic is.
That was that one who was looks like a lolly.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah, so she was just so nonchalant about it as well.
She was
explaining it to her other 2 people that was next to her. She was like, "Yep, I can only do it if I can imagine, so it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's over for me."
Right. But it's fitting
like
because
maybe we can I can trick her.
Right, for like, what did she say, like 15 seconds?
15 seconds, yeah. That should be enough to create an opening for us to escape.
Right.
And then there was a discovery. She's like, "Oh, not even that."
Yeah, exactly. But
and so were you going to bring up the other part in the dungeon where there was a person who was the opposite of her?
Oh, yes. So there is a mage who, it was kind of, I think they kind of took a book from Hunter x Hunter, because this mage had killed somebody in the previous exam. One of the proctors themselves, this dude had this like impenetrable cloak, and like the test was if anybody could knock him back a step, that would pass. Yep. Of course, nobody could do it, and she just walks up and literally just slices this dude in half. And she has a conversation with one of the proctors later. She was like, I grew up around fabric, and my sister, whoever, cutting fabric and stuff. I just visualized cutting fabric, and that was it. And I was like, what?
Because it's in your belief. So she had no doubt in her mind that she can cut fabric.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what type of fabric it is. If it's coated with magic, it doesn't matter. So since she had that belief, she could cut it. And that when she came up with across that first class mage, this first class mage fights with her hair, and her hair is very strong and powerful. It moves like Medusa snakes, but it extends and stuff. And she was like, "Oh, I can imagine I can defeat her,
right?
Because I can cut her hair. Like hair was cuttable."
Right, exactly, and because and it's also because of their abilities. So each mage has their own kind of innate ability, and that also plays into it. And so this particular mage was like, I know my ability can take down this first class mage because, she runs on instinct. Everybody else kind of thinks about how to attack the next person, but she runs so purely on instinct. She didn't even think about it. She just was like, you know what? My body says I can do this, so I can do it. And she went and she killed this double of this first class mage, which should have been impossible. I just thought it was really clever, how they can have a discrepancy and really extremely powerful opponents to one that's not as powerful, but hey, the underdog can still come out and it still makes sense,
Yep, a strong belief. So that's her magic, is anything that she believes that she can cut, she can cut.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And so how that relates to the Bible, like what God says. So in Matthew 21:22, it says, and if you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. And then 8:13, this was about the centurion who had a sick servant, and he was like, Lord, my servant is sick, heal him. And Jesus was like, all right, come on, let's go and do it. And then centurion was like, you just say the word and he'll be healed. Like, I'm not even worthy for you to come back to my place.
Right. Yeah.
So then Jesus said to him, go your way, and as you have believed, so let it be done for you. And his servant was healed that same hour.
And low key, that kind of tells me that even Jesus was a little surprised. I can imagine when he said that, Jesus being like, "Oh, this dude gets it. Oh, okay, you right. It's done. Go your way. Don't worry about it." Yeah,
Jesus turned around to his disciples. The verse after, he was like, "I say to you, I have not seen faith as such, even among the children of Israel."
Yeah.
God's chosen people who did all those miracles for didn't even see faith in that. That includes Moses and stuff.
Right. Right.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Matthew 9:18 and then 21-25. This was talking about two different miracles that happened at once, kind of. And this was the woman who was bleeding, and then the man who had a daughter that had died. So it says, while he spoke these things to them, behold, a ruler came and worshipped him, saying, my daughter has just died, but come and lay your hand on her, and she will live. Like, it was like she might live, like she will live. And he said, for she said to herself, and so skipping ahead, while he was moving through the crowd to go to the ruler, the woman who had that bleeding for years and went everywhere, couldn't breathe, she said to herself, if only I may touch his garment, I shall be made well. And then we all know Jesus felt the power, so he turned to her like, who touched me and all that. And then he looked at her and he said, be of good cheer, daughter, your faith has made you well. And the woman was made well from that hour. And then when Jesus came to the ruler's house, he saw like the flute players in the noisy crowd, they were wailing and all that, and he said to them, make room, for the girl is not dead but sleeping. They ridiculed him though, because they didn't believe or nothing. So he moved them out the way, and then he went and took her by the hand, and the girl rose. So the other time, the man's faith was like, if you say the word, my servant will be healed. And Jesus like, all right, go ahead, as you believe, it will be done. This man said, the ruler whose daughter died said, if you just lay your hands on her, she will raise up. And so he took her hand and she arose, according to what the man's faith said.
Yeah.
And then the woman, according to her faith, if I just touch Jesus, not him touching me, I touch him.
Yeah.
Without his knowledge, I'll be made whole.
Yeah.
And she was made whole. And made well.
And see, what I'm even reading into that is, you talk about having that strong faith and that belief. I'm even seeing having a strong will, just the will, like that woman just reaching out, saying, I'm going to take the initiative, I'm going to reach out, and I'm going to do and create an opportunity for me to get my healing and my blessing. And going back to Frieren, that's also part of it is will. The people that got denied for that first class mage, they didn't even, they got rejected for one reason or another for lack of will. And that's another thing that makes Fern so powerful. And the first time I see it kind of playing out is when Fern and Stark are going up against the first demons that we meet in the show. And you think they're like all powerful, but then Fern pretty easily destroys this dude and even takes him by surprise. And Fern is like, yeah, honestly, you're probably actually stronger than I am, but Frieren has taught me better than that. And she ends up kind of having her own will. And because she could have run, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, in their world, your imagination and your will is what powers the strength of your magic and how far you go in the magic world. So, and Fern has taken her, it is insane that she has just basic magic, but through sheer will over the years of training under Frieren, she is now like on course to be a stronger mage than Frieren herself. And so just that small thing of, hey, I'm going to take my own destiny into my own hands kind of mentality is also what that kind of connection I see there too.
Yeah, and you bringing that up remind me of how their will is being forged so strongly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's something that's very simple, but
right.
it's a consistent thing.
Yes.
Which is them suppressing their mana.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Like honing it, like suppressing it, honing it, and like making it like just rock solid. Yeah.
Yeah, and also so that they do it to hide how strong they are.
Right. Mm-hmm.
From the demons and stuff, so that they can kill them.
Yeah.
Because Flamme had taught that to Frieren, and she's like, you got to do it your whole life. So Frieren's been doing that her whole life. So it's one of those skills that it's painstakingly hard to master, and to a point where there's no fluctuations, or it's very hard to see the fluctuations.
Mm-hmm.
And she taught that to Fern as well,
right.
Because Fern learned that discipline. Like that whole thing takes a whole strong will to maintain constantly.
Yeah, like it reminds me of who else kind of had a similar. There was somebody else in some shonen where they had to maintain an ability. Oh, I think I'm thinking of Demon Slayer. I think where the total concentration breathing. When they're like, okay, now you got to do this breathing 24/7 for the rest of your life, and he's like, oh.
Yeah. And then you know how hard he struggled just learning how to do it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And they said that Frieren has it down so well because she's so old, but like it's literally impossible for a human to get to her level in their lifetime. So it's like Frieren uniquely has this ability to hide this vast amount of magical energy that she has. Yeah. and now, like you said, Fern has learned it now too. And so, which I thought was interesting that it's considered cowardly to fight that way. The demons are like, yeah, I got all this magical energy. You about to know that I'm the strongest in town. Yep. And Frieren said it's not even basically a concept to them to hide your magical energy. And Frieren's like, that's why I can defeat you.
Yep. But, that story's good though. It's one of those animes where I don't know if I'll watch it again, but there's certain episodes I'll probably watch again.
Right. Yeah, most definitely, because there's a lot of the show is that slice of life, kind of them just walking around doing stuff. I don't know how many episodes actually have action shots in them, but when they do, Lord have mercy, they are phenomenal.
I'll give it a solid 9.5.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I would agree. I know you have to go. Just real quick, another kingdom principle that I kind of saw was, Jesus was a servant of the people, and he just went around washing people's feet and just doing things. That's how he was a hero for the most part. Of course, we hear the big stories about the miracles and stuff. Frieren's version of her, killing a monster in 5 seconds or whatever she
Uh-huh.
does. But for the most part, she was like, and she said that she didn't really understand, why are we doing all this basic stuff? Why are we like fixing up people's homes or like helping them plant gardens or doing whatever, like real basic stuff? Like, this is meaningless, she even said. And Himmel and the rest of the party was like, it's not meaningless. This is helping people's lives. Like, this is what we do as heroes. Like, this is our job. And I was, and then from then on, that's also what Frieren started to do. She's like, I don't normally do this, but, and even with the new party, she was like, no, I'm gonna just keep going. And they're like, Frieren, we kind of have to help these people because they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, all right, fine. That's what Himmel would do. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I appreciated that, them showing that a real hero is somebody who's for the people and actually makes connections with the people who are there. And, it really touched me that in one scene, she was talking to this old dude in this village. She's like, I recognize that hat. Like, I've seen this hat somewhere. You're that little boy that lifted up my skirt all them decades ago. And I'm like, dang, she has that good of a memory that she recognizes this dude from his hat.
Yeah.
From like decades ago. I'm like, that's kind of touching to me that she is starting to remember details about people and, and her helping them and stuff. So that was a principle of mine that really resonated with me. So, but yeah. Well, that's all I think I have to say about Frieren. But yeah, I would definitely recommend. The show really kind of took me by surprise, and I ended up really, really liking it. Just for its it's stylistic, its style and stuff. And it wasn't cliche. There was a lot of moments where I just assumed it was going to be cliche, but they went a different direction, and I really enjoyed that. But I guess I was trying to think of the next show for us to kind of do, but I don't know. I gotta keep looking.
Yeah, it's your turn to choose, because I had to choose other times.
Yeah. I was trying to think if I wanted to do like an old anime or something newer.
What you want to do? Something that you already seen?
See, I thought about that, but I was like, I don't know. I liked that I hadn't seen Frieren. It was something that got me, checking new stuff out. So I think I'm gonna try to find something again that maybe we both haven't seen. Maybe I'll come up with a list of 3 or 4 and send them your way and see if you've seen them or not.
Okay.
But yeah.
And I will send you all the details. Because I'm gonna forget. I already know it. Yep. So everybody out there, you can follow us on Instagram at Nani Another Anime Podcast. So Nani is Nani, then Another Anime Podcast, all one word. And TikTok and all that too. That there's periods in between every word for TikTok.
I was trying to find some good hot takes before this recording, but the ones I was looking up, like, this is dumb. Now people are just saying stupid stuff. Like, these aren't even good hot takes.
That's what people are interpreting hot takes now is something that is so dumb that no one can agree with.